defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on. Just as the big man Ian Wright just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. I hope you and your loved ones are in good health. You're all doing blessed. To my long-term subscribers and supporters, appreciate you lot for to a close, people. Oh, what's going on here? Apologies for any technical difficulties there. I just saw it come off my screen. But as I was saying, as the window draws to a close on Friday, where Arsenal are concerned, I'm sure a lot of us are probably hopeful that we could sign one more to go with the four that we've signed in Havertz, Timber, Declan Rice, and obviously Raya. There's rumours of Arsenal going for a defender. I personally would love another defensive body. I've probably given up hope of bringing in another central midfielder and a winger and a striker. I don't know. As you can see in front of me, and again, I don't know if these guys know or don't know what they're talking about, because this is the same sort of website that said Mbappe, Tchouameni, all of these guys are landing at Arsenal, Barella, etc. Arsenal hold talks over Victor Osimhen move as striker set to turn down new Napoli deal. I do think Arsenal in the next 12 months might be looking for more of a traditional striker. We've been linked with Osimhen in this rumor or this article. We've obviously been linked with Ferguson, and we've half-heartedly been linked with Ivan Toney. Three very different players at very different stages in their careers. But I think in Osimhen, Toney, and Ferguson, I'm sure Arsenal fans would love either of the three. And obviously Osimhen, we've been chasing him since he was 17, you know, Wenger and that. I do think another traditional striker takes this to the next level. I just dream of a world where we have Jesus, whatever Jesus does, you know, the Brazilians, as I call him, you know, doing what he's doing, provided he could get 20 plus league goals, because he's good enough to do that. You get that. You get a bagsman that's nailed on. No one's a guarantee, but nailed on to get 20, 30 goals. If there's Martinelli's, the Sakas, the Odegaards, Trossard when he plays, Smith Rowe, you defo hope so. Kai Havertz. If these lot can chip in, we could go from a team that gets 80 odd points. 80 odd goals, apologies, to 100. And that turns a couple of draws into victories, a couple of defeats into draws. And as you know, beating Manchester City to the Premier League title, for anybody that aspires to do that, even good isn't good enough. You need to be great. And as harsh as it is across a 38-game calendar, you can't leave yourself any margin for error. But apparently Arsenal held initial talks last week over signing Victor Osimhen next summer. Football Transfers has learned. We are informed that Arsenal sporting director Edu Gaspar contacted the owner of the Serie A club, Aurelio De Laurentiis, forgive me for mispronunciation, to ask about the availability of the player, having been given encouragement by the 24-year-old's old agent, Roberto Calinda. Now, if I'm looking at that, it's irrelevant what his old agent said. You got to deal with his new one. We all know Napoli basically just won the Scudetto, the Serie A. We all know on the best of days, while Osimhen's contract is running down, they did pay a lot of money for Osimhen, and Napoli are notoriously difficult to prize players away. You've got to pay the bag, and Osimhen is someone that a lot of people are going to want, especially in this day and age where, as us fans, we can't really name 20, 30 good strikers like that. You know, the majority of them are wild cards. You know, the Osimhens, the Kanes, all of these guys, they're at certain clubs. You know, even if you want young Ivan Ferguson, where the jury's still out because he's 18, but I believe he has a good future. You know, Brighton are not going to get conversations started unless you've got 90 to 100 million to begin dialogue. So we'll have to see. We understand the club want to bring in a world-class number 9 in 2024. The Gunner squad last season shared the goals throughout, with Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka all scoring 15 each, while Jesus, who contended with a serious injury, managed 11. Eddie and Nketiah and Xhaka scored 9 apiece, the latter of whom departed to Leverkusen. And I think we do miss Granit Xhaka at this moment in time. As much as I like Xhaka, I think that's more damning verdict on us and encouragement to them, in my opinion. Apologies, I've just realized the news is on, and that might be some background noise. I think Eddie Nketiah has done well. I think he's developing. I think the only step for him now is to score goals consistently in whatever minutes he gets. That being said, while I want to keep Eddie, unless there's a mad offer, I want to keep Jesus, and I'd love to bring in a top striker. I think if we could get another, assuming everyone's fit, if we could get another central midfielder for all of this Havertz experience, all of this Rice Partey stuff, and you know, the Odegaards, the Vieiras, the Smith Rowes, you can all play as rotating eights. If we can get probably more so a number 8 now. Maybe need to start looking for 6s as Partey's career. He's still got a long number of years left, but winding down. If we can get another central midfielder, a winger to compete / maybe even take Saka's spot, easier said than done, and a bagsman up front, I think we're laughing. I think we're starting to get there with the defensive options, which I couldn't say this time last year. You know, again, we saw towards the tail end of our last 2 previous seasons when we've had to rely on certain players for an extended run of games. Unfortunately, they're just not caught up to task, people. So yeah, it's very vague so far. We all know Arsenal evidently want to continue to fight for titles. You know, City, I actually think on paper in the Premier League they scored less with Haaland than the year before that, but they've got a bag of guys who could bag goals. They've got Julian Alvarez, who's probably one of the most underrated players at Manchester City now because there's other guys with the limelight, and they've got the alien in Haaland. We might not have that, but we can try and do that. Apparently, this article has said, we are told Osimhen, whose contract is up at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium in 2025, is not believed to be wanting to sign fresh terms with his current employers. Does he feel like he's hit a ceiling? I don't know, people. Manchester City and Chelsea are allegedly keen. Apparently, there's interest from the Saudi League as well. He did once upon a time say Arsenal tried to sign him as a youngster, in which, who knows, if we signed him then, we might be laughing, but no one knows if his career would have gone how the way it's gone. I spoke with Arsene Wenger, and he wanted me to come to Arsenal, but it was not the right option at the time. And you considering where he's at right now, you know, life worked out fine for him. Smith Rowe's been linked with a move to Chelsea, as has Barcelona pair Ferran Torres and Rafinha. Again, when you scroll down, it doesn't say there's anything specific. We all know Smith Rowe is a marginalized character at Arsenal right now. I have covered this in a previous vid, so go and check that out, people. Chelsea allegedly are considering a late bid, as discussed, but there doesn't seem like there's any other evidence than Chelsea just wanted to add new attackers. Interest is not particularly advanced, but the trio are among the names being discussed by Chelsea's hierarchy at this stage. I personally believe, you know, Smith Rowe is at that point now. We need to keep the squad together. If people want to leave in January, we can reassess. But I think right now there shouldn't be any outgoings, bar the obvious players whose days are numbered at the football club, really. Moving away from that, apparently Arsenal want to sign a right back, allegedly. Arsenal are looking for a right back, says The Independent, and Tottenham Hotspur a fullback along with a forward player. That's great for them, but for us it simply just says we're looking for a right back. So that tells you we're looking for competition for Benjamin White. Obviously, if Gabriel isn't going to be in the team for whatever reason, Benjamin White shifts over there and we've got right backs, and we have got some multifunctional players in the defense. Saliba forcing it, but he can play right back, even though you just want to see him really and truly at the heart of the defense. Benjamin White can play right back as well as central defense. Obviously, I even think Gabriel's got the capacity to play left back, but he's a centre half. The Zinchenko, the Tomiyasu, the Kyrgios, it's such a timber fit, you know, speedy recovery for him. We're getting multifunctional players, and I think the difference with that is these players can actually play in their organic roles and more, which that hasn't always been the case during the Emirates era. And initially when Arteta tried to target these kind of multi-functional players, quote unquote, it didn't work first time around. The Athletic, or better yet, my guy Art DeRoche, you know, who says junior writer here, soon to be the Black David Ornstein, big him up, proud of his progress. Also proud of Balogun's progress. According to him, Arsenal's USMNT striker Balogun is closing in on his move to Monaco. The Athletic reported last week that the clubs were reaching an agreement for a permanent transfer. Balogun is now traveling to Monaco to complete a medical and finalize paperwork ahead of signing a 5-year deal with the Liga side. If all goes to plan, the transfer could be announced by the end of Wednesday. As you lot know, people, he scored 21 Liga goals in 37 appearances and has made it clear he would like to play regular football, which might not happen at Arsenal. There has been rumours of Mudryk and Smith Rowe swapping. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Would I consider swapping Smith Rowe for Mudryk? I would say no, because I love Smith Rowe as a player and I think he should stay. But considering Arteta has shown he can get something out of the Wonder Kids, we tried to bid X amount of money for Mudryk, and I do think there's a player there. I just think with him, it's more of a confidence thing, and the manager can only tell you so much. I think he's got to find that headspace in that one good game or bad game doesn't make you fluctuate as a player. And I do think, ironically, I can't lie, I can't remember the game, but he came off the bench for Chelsea. It might have even been Liverpool. And clearly he can't hit a barn door right now, but he looked quite good right wing, and it made me think, you know what, you and Saka, two wingers that are left-footed cutting in off the right-hand side. Obviously, the Pepe thing 1 minute it's Saudi Arabia, then it's Italy, then it's Germany. Either way, he hasn't departed at this moment in time. Allegedly, according to AFC Camden, which I'm not endorsing, but he does seem to have a decent record where it comes to this stuff. Chelsea inquired about a swap deal last week. Smith Rowe for Mudryk was a no from Arsenal at the time. So if that is true, Chelsea willing to give up already. We have been linked with defenders, and we've been linked with a second Galatasaray player for this, a couple of times we've been linked with Victor Nelson. Apparently, we see him as potential cover for Timber. He has a buyout clause of 25 million euros, and allegedly he's on Arsenal's shortlist. Rudy Galletti has said after the injury of Timber, Arsenal looking for a new centre-back. In the Arsenal list, there are 4 options. One of them is Victor Nelson. The Galatasaray player has a release clause of 25 million euros. Speaking of Turkey, Galatasaray and Partey links won't go away. Apparently, he's still keen and open to a move to Turkey. I don't believe that. I don't know where you lot are at. Even if he did want to go do that, therefore a player like Partey, which he's a central midfielder by trade, he's doing the inverted thing at this moment in time. We need to keep these players right now, at least. Arsenal are willing to definitely not sell Smith Rowe after an approach from Chelsea. Smith Rowe is allegedly frustrated by his lack of game time, and I understand it because he was a marginalized figure when fit last season. And he is this year, but it's only been 3 games. There's 30 odd to play. And as you know, things are going to fluctuate. There's a lot of games. Injuries, unfortunately, happen to everyone and can happen at any time. And the same way Smith Rowe arguably lost his spot because he wasn't fit and Martinelli ran with it and other people have gone from strength to strength. Make sure you take your opportunities. At this moment in time, you're not getting in ahead of Havertz. You're not getting ahead of Odegaard. It's Trossard and Martinelli on the left, but things can change. I think right now, Fabio Vieira is banging on the door. And obviously, Mikel Arteta spent a lot of money on Havertz. I don't think he should, cast him out after 3 games. You have to find a system that gets the best out of the players. But looking at it on another way, could it be worth putting Fabio Vieira, who's had 2 decent cameos? Could it be worth giving Smith Rowe a run out? Could it be worth maybe even moving Odegaard into there and doing something? Could it be worth just going Odegaard, Partey and Rice? I don't know how we're going to persist. I do expect Havertz to play against Man United. But for me, for that United game, which we're jumping ahead of, I probably want to see Partey in midfield, Gabriel back into the lineup on a more traditional Arsenal system and starting 11, even though I don't want Mikel Arteta to give up on whatever system it is that he's deployed for the last 3 games. The man wouldn't be doing that, rightly or wrongly. No one is free from criticism, but Arteta is not going to do these things if it doesn't mean he can get 3 points and take Arsenal where it wants. We're Arsenal fans and will be fans long after Arteta's gone, but he's the manager dealing with the scrutiny, training with these people. Why would you not try and find a system or want to deploy a system that enhances your players' strengths and gets the best out of them? Whether we're currently doing that, whether us as ignorant fans can see the light at the end of the tunnel in relation to that, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. Rob Holden been linked with a bag of clubs. Romano has said Mallorca and Sevilla have both asked for the conditions of a potential Rob Holden deal this week. There are also Premier League clubs informed on the Holden situation as he's expected to leave. He's been linked with Wolves and Crystal Palace and Luton, as well as Mallorca, Betis and Sevilla. Whether he moves to any of these clubs, I don't know, people. Apparently Nottingham Forest are considering the possibility to reopen talks for Nuno Tavares with Arsenal. Discussions ongoing to make a decision soon. 1 minute it's on, then it's off. Who knows at this moment in time? Once again, I've already said that about Holden. He's been linked with Crystal Palace and Wolves. He's 27 years of age. He has 12 months left on his deal with the option of another one. Signed for £2 million. You must imagine we can make some money off that. And I'm not saying Holden isn't, but this is all assuming the player wants to make the move as well. He's also a loan target for Luton Town. And apparently he's weighing up his options before deadline day. He also has interest from clubs in Spain, while Wolves and Crystal Palace are also monitoring the situation. If it was me personally, which it's not, and I was Rob Holden, I probably would want to go to Crystal Palace, if I'm honest with you. I think that's a good club and I stay in London. I would be enticed to see what Wolves are doing. I'll be open to that. I might talk to Tierney and maybe an adventure in La Liga. I'd be keen on that, whether that's to Sevilla, which I think that's the best of the teams I've seen you linked with. Betis, obviously a decent club. I'm sure Hector Bellerin can tell you something about them. Mallorca, I'm not too sure. Luton, I don't know. You could be playing championship football next season, and clearly Luton, wary of whatever finances around Holden, or maybe not necessarily convinced, or maybe this is all they can do, want to bid for him on loan. Now, obviously, if he goes on loan, he could put himself in the shop window, or that's what you hope for, but that's assuming things happen, really. And as we know, Balogun is set to undergo a medical, allegedly today, at Monaco, ahead of his £34 million move to Liga. Now, some people would say that's cheap, but we held out for 50. We've got 34 million quid on a player that's played 10 times for Arsenal's first team, whether he develops or not, whether he should have kept him or not, which I would have loved for him to sign a new deal, go out on loan and stay at the club ultimately, or maybe give it a go until January. But there's many variables that are not in place, that's decent money, really and truly. Again, where Lokonga, Cedric Suarez, and Pepe, it seems like there's radio silence today in relation to them moving away. Cedric Suarez, as I said in my last vid, probably a man that you forgot was at Arsenal more than Rob Holden. It looks like he'll win the battle to stay at the club. He has previously been linked with teams in La Liga, but everybody's linked, everybody's interested. Opening dialogue with Edu and the figureheads at Arsenal, agreeing fees and all of these things are completely different things. Everybody's interested in everyone, really and truly. So we'll have to see how these things develop. As I said, let me know you lot's thoughts. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, and subscribe. Check out the rest of the vids. Check out the August playlist. Most importantly, thank you for listening. Appreciate you lot's continued support, and we'll link up again soon. But for now, people, DG, I'm out. One love.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like